Into the conversation. Peter Zalmayev is an expert in post-communist states and Central Asia and the director of Eurasia Democracy Initiative in New York. A very long title and very good to have you on the programme as well. Thanks for being with us from New York tonight, sir. Now, we just heard from Peter there about the UN talking about possibly targeted attacks. As the unrest continues even tonight, OK, it is early days to pick over the reasons for it, why it's happened. What do you think has triggered the current violence, and indeed who do you think might be behind the disorder?
Well, more and more evidence is emerging that, in fact, it was the disgraced former President Bakiev who may be behind the violence through his members of his extended family, including his brothers, his son Maxim, and his henchmen. Keep in mind that the south city of Osh, the adjacent city of Jalalabad, have traditionally been the stronghold for the Bakiev clan, and it is said that some of the security forces there, the security chiefs in the region, have been insubordinate to the interim government in Bishkek, and in fact are said to have aided and abetted, if not directly coordinated, the actions of the marauding gangs.
In the last 24 hours, we've heard that coming back Bakiev's son Maxim's been arrested in Britain. He went there seeking asylum. Now, he's being accused of embezzlement, abuse of power, and a role, indeed, maybe in inciting the recent events. What do you think about those claims he's facing?
Those claims are quite plausible. Maxim, keep in mind, is and was for many years at the helm of the financial operation for the Bakiev clan. He was the largest beneficiary of the largesse from the proceeds from the renegotiation of the military base in Manas with the Pentagon, when funds were funneled through shady intermediaries into refueling companies controlled by Maxim. Recently, a taped phone conversation was made available on YouTube between Maxim and one of the former president's brothers, Janusz, who are heard discussing ways to foment unrest and discredit and topple the interim government. Finally, scores of militants have been arrested and are being interrogated and are said to have confessed having been paid by supporters of the Bakiev family.
As the unrest continues, many more and more people saying that the current interim Kyrgyz government is just too weak to tackle this crisis on its own. Russia, for its part, sending humanitarian aid. But what else do you think is needed from the international community to step in and stem this violence?
Well, I believe that some of this violence still has a few days to play out. Unless peacekeeping troops are committed and are sent, there's really not much to be done. However, the priority must be on the humanitarian side. Over 100,000 people have now left, have crossed the border over to Uzbekistan, and tens of thousands are massing on the border who are being now prevented. So these people are in desperate need of medicine and of food. The right step was already made yesterday when members of the Collective Security Treaty Organization decided to send supplies of food and medicine to the people. Also, Moscow decided to help Bishkek, the interim government, with some military equipment and fighter planes. And that is also a very, very helpful step.
This is the worst unrest in the country for 20 years. As I said, as I started this interview, it's still early days. But do you think any of the lessons learned back then, 20 years ago, can be applied to the current situation in Kyrgyzstan now, tonight? They
should. One moment that I would like to point out is that back 20 years ago, the causes of that particular outbreak remain murky. There was never a credible commission of inquiry to look into the circumstances of that tragedy. This time there are already voices, including from the Uzbek diaspora, who are calling for a credible commission of inquiry. So for any interethnic reconciliation to occur, international organizations, including the OSCE, must step in and investigate.
Peter Zalmayev, Central Asian expert and also director of the Eurasian Democracy Initiative. Thanks for being on the line tonight and on the programme from New York.